Hi, it's Ed with your NAED Government Affairs Update. Today, we'd like to welcome to NAED our new General Counsel, Ian Reynolds. Ian brings to NAED some great experience in the electrical industry with one of our major manufacturers, as well as some time with a large national firm. So welcome, Ian.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Just to give everybody a little bit more background, previously to working at NAED, I worked at the law firm Hush Blackwell in their corporate M&A and securities practice area with an industry focus in technology manufacturing and transportation. And then before that, I worked at Emerson Electric in their legal department, and now I'm excited to be part of NAED.
Great to have you. In addition to serving as NAED's General Counsel, Ian's also going to be working with me on public policy and government relations, specifically looking at regulatory issues. So in addition to helping our members navigate these thorny regulatory issues, Ian can help us understand the impact of court cases we've been hearing about on TV. And it's actually great timing because in the news lately, we've had a couple of issues before the Supreme Court that a lot of our members have been interested in, and we want to kind of get your thoughts on those. Now, first, distributors have long argued that online sellers have an unfair competitive advantage because they advertise electrical material online and essentially say, use tax avoidance as a selling strategy. Buy from us and we don't collect sales tax. So we've been working on getting something through Congress to address that, but as you're learning rapidly, the wheels of Congress grind slowly. In the meantime, the state of South Dakota has tried to move the issue along by suing some online retailers. And their case made it to the Supreme Court, and in fact, NAED participated in the case, supporting an amicus brief, siding with South Dakota. So tell us a little bit about that case and what you see, what range of possibilities you see in a ruling from the Supreme Court.
Certainly. So as you mentioned, the Supreme Court is South Dakota v. Wayfair, and this is actually about confronting and overturning a previous Supreme Court case, Quill versus North Dakota, which determined that states can't compel retailers to collect online sales or use taxes unless they have a physical presence in the state. So even though purchasers are still required to pay this tax, as you mentioned, enforcement is difficult, and the online sellers have been using this as a unfair competitive advantage. In fact, Bloomberg reported that states and localities are losing up to $20 billion annually on this issue. And so it's really prompted the Supreme Court to take action as this becomes a more important issue. So there's a couple of different things that the Supreme Court can do and lots of nuances. But from a basic standpoint, they can do one of two things. Either they can rule against South Dakota, and essentially then we're back exactly where we started. So unfortunately, states wouldn't be able to compel the retailers to collect those taxes. Or second, and what most experts think is the likely outcome, is for them to rule in favor of South Dakota, allowing for states then to compel retailers to collect this tax. There's lots of nuances in terms of what that would look like, whether or not there needs to be a sufficient economic nexus with the state, and when the rule would go into effect, but that is ultimately what they can do. And our oral arguments were held this past Tuesday on the 17th, and we should expect a decision in late June. I'd like to note, though, that I don't think that just because the Supreme Court takes action, that will be the final step. Congress still has the authority to act, and even though progress has been slow over the past years, some think that this will spur Congress to take additional action.
Absolutely. In fact, Ian and I were in Washington last week, and there was a lot of discussion about that. If the Supreme Court acts, then it's sort of the Wild West, and that really could spur on the Congress to act more quickly. Plus, there's some jurisdictional and chairmanship changes in the works with the committees that are looking at the legislation that could indicate more activity there. Another issue that's really important to our members and has been an issue for a long time is the treatment of inside salespeople under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Now, the Supreme Court recently issued a ruling relating to the FLSA. Some of our members are wondering, is this a chance for us to simplify and more easily reward our good inside salespeople for the great work they do? What did the court say about the FLSA and what implications are there for our members?
Yeah, so this is the case Encino Motorcars versus Navarro. And unfortunately, I don't think that this case is written broad enough to do a lot of work for our members for those inside sales positions. It specifically talks about service providers at car dealerships. However, there was part of the decision that talks about a broader issue, and that's how courts should interpret the FLSA exemptions for overtime pay. Traditionally, courts have viewed them narrowly, and that typically works against our members. But the court found that there should just be a fair reading of the FLSA exemptions. So this will help any of the members who undergo litigation and misclassification of the FLSA standards, or in situations where previously the members, the inside salespeople, were found to not be within one of the exemptions due to the narrow reading in particular.
So you're saying there's a chance? Thanks for dropping the science on us, Counselor. It's about time our members had some meaty government info rather than the low-protein gruel that I've been dishing out for these many years. Now, listen, Ian's not here to fix your traffic tickets. He is here to help us leverage existing legal resources within the industry to more effectively serve our members and to help you navigate that thicket of regulatory issues that we all face. And so I don't want to speak for Ian, but I guess if you have questions or thoughts about regulations or legal issues that affect the whole industry, they can give you a call?
No, please do. I love discussing these issues, and now that NAED has brought me on, I no longer have to charge by the hour. So feel free to give me a call in the office or shoot me an email at ireynolds@naed.org.
Perfect. Ian, thanks for joining us. Thanks for making us a better association, and thank you for supporting NAED.